my hands, you are on the air, okay?
Okay. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being produced by Richard Wicca at Think Twice Radio. Thank you, Richard. That is at the home of the future. And I'm your host, Vicki Ross, Executive Director at the Western New York Peace Center. I'm very excited to be here in Minnesota, as we have been, and we have a very special show, very special topic, and we're talking all about welcoming water protectors, StopLine3, and keeping it in the ground, as well as defending the sacred, which is what we're so busy doing. So I'm very, very honored to be here with Mark John Kruse, who is working very hard at the Welcome Water Protectors Camp. Hi, Mark John.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
From the great deep north.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to be here.
Yeah.
And then we have ShyAnne John, no relation. Oh, we're all friends and relations, of course. I need to say that. But anyway, so ShyAnne John, who just came.
Scano.
Yeah. Who was part of this contingent that we just went on, that, we just came up. So I can't believe we just got here yesterday. Is that still right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a time warp here. Time does not exist. It's so hard. You get lost in just the everyday struggle. Yeah.
Right. No, it seems like it's been such a big eventful, every day a week goes by kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, so Mark John, if you would just tell us a little bit about camp, what it's like.
Sure.
How it first out a little bit too.
Yeah. I first arrived at camp December 9th. Was my first time at camp once it became public. And from the get-go, there was a pretty core group of people that have kind of already been setting up camp for a few weeks before it went public. Mm-hmm. And since arriving at camp, I guess, like we just mentioned, time flies. I can't believe it's been 3 months already. And just this beautiful community that we're creating. We're here to stop Line 3. We're here to protect the water. We're here to honor the treaties. And when you bring all these beautiful people together, just beautiful things happen. And like we were just talking about all the things I accomplished when you were just here a few hours ago. And when we have a lot of people around doing things get accomplished. And we really are building a beautiful community and a network of people that we can rely on for the future. Just like what we're doing, the work we're doing here is for the future generations.
Right.
It's a beautiful place to be. Yeah.
So that we have a home in the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we even have one. Yeah. So important. And I love what you said about the community, because I feel it is the beloved community. As Dr. King talked about. Of course, the Western New York Peace Center, by the way, was started as part of Dr. King's Clergy and Laity Against the War, Clergy and Laity Concerned.
Right.
But I do a lot of thinking about the beloved community, and in so many arenas, that is what happens around the work, because people, when you're defending the sacred, it just happens very, very organically, I guess I would.
Yeah, very, very organically. And we're all kind of autonomous here, so we're all our own self, and portraying what we can do and accomplish together. It's kind of neat how all that kind of comes together in the community.
Right.
Of people, yeah.
It's so wonderful. I would actually invite Erwin, if you want to put your face over here on the camera. I know we didn't schedule this, but Erwin just walked in, so we're all in this same place here together. So Erwin,
good evening, guys.
Yeah, we were just talking about all the things that are going on. So, and where were you just headed off to?
We're gonna get dinner.
Oh, dinner. Yeah.
It's very important.
Right. Keeping up our strength.
No, we did a lot of stuff today, which it's amazing to not only to volunteer, but to help out, lend a hand. but just to be in spirit with other people, strangers, in other words, and just work. It enriches the soul. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to come here with them, with you guys, and I'm rushing. I love you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
See you guys
Thank
later. I'll see you
coming.
later.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you later. Yes. We'll actually see him a little bit later, and you'll see him tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, yeah.
Tomorrow. Anyway, so the beloved, speaking of which, so, it's funny because in terms of strangers, I do feel that, it's back to sort of no one is a stranger, because it's that building of beloved community. We feel, the friends and relations. I keep saying, Miwa Takiyasin. Miwa Takiyasin is, I'll just never forget when Standing Rock was going on, that Chief Arvol Looking Horse came to Buffalo. And that was a phrase that he used. I don't even know if maybe it's Lakota. I don't know. But he would address people, Miwa Takiyasin, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, like Lori's over here, you could correct me if I'm wrong. And I think it means, my friends and relations.
Yeah.
So it's that loving heart, that, that the good mind, putting our minds together as one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen that quote at Crazy Horse. I've gone to Crazy Horse a few times. I feel like it's a quote that I've heard. Yeah.
I bet it is. Because those same beloved ideas and the beloved community they keep recurring in different ways and times, even in different cultures and things, that it's still the same thing about defending the sacred, about, love, truth and love, about protecting and honoring the creation and the great mystery.
Yeah. That's and that's where we're all here with the same heart and mind in it, and it, as we may be strangers, that inner web that we share together of that beautifulness, it really, I feel like I've known a lot of these people my entire life, and I've only known them for maybe a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, but I definitely feel like this is where this grassroots standing up, fighting back when we need to, we really build this community and in relationships with people that we need, that we're missing from society. Yeah.
Right. So important. So nice. But so, it makes me also say, because I love to talk about the exciting, the inspiring emotions, but also I build you as handyman in the camp, because I know you're out there doing all these handy things. We were helping you to put up a tent, and you were the one who knew exactly how to put up this very different, kind of a fairly big ornate tent for, bigger than, it's not just your average pump tent.
Yeah.
ShyAnne is another one. Now, you should know this. She is also very good at actual practical, mechanical, different things, making them work, things like that. And so some of it is this very practical thing too, of just seeing what needs to be done, doing what needs to be done, etc.
Our cook here, we were just, we're whipping up together the kitchen tent now. Again, we got it risen and everything, and Turtle says, that's more of that Minnesota MacGyver stuff you're doing over there,
Right.
You just
Right.
gotta make it work, figure it out, take it apart, remember how you took it apart, put it back together,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, there's another person who's just such a devoted person. Here he's feeding, he never knows how many, right? He comes, go, and also, and so many people to feed, and so, and not in your all comfy conditions or something, but although there's a lot of inventiveness to make sure that what's needed is there or somehow figured out.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Yeah, we resource together and make it happen for sure. Yeah.
Right. So that is camp, and now there's a number of camps, right?
Yeah, there's I think 5 in total.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the the pipeline from the North Dakota border all the way to the Wisconsin border is 330 miles long, just over 330 miles long. And there is multiple camps. We have the Red Lake Treaty Territory, Treaty Rights Camp, and then there's the Menomin, the Wild Rice Protector Camp, that's just off of White Earth. There's us here, there's McGizzy, and there's a couple of others that are actually just undisclosed. I don't even know their names. But very, very dedicated. Some of these people have been living out in these woods for 3 years at different camps and really preparing. This has all led to this very moment. This has been a 7-year journey of fighting Enbridge. So this has been something that's been on all our minds, and we hope it never got to this point. And but here we are. So we're definitely ready to stand up. And now that the weather's getting warmer, we're hoping more people come and join us. It's things are going to come to a head here really soon, and it should be interesting to see how long we can hold Enbridge off. Cost them as much money as possible. Yeah.
And just sort of get in the way or be watching too.
Yeah.
So watching, getting in the way, and publicizing. So people, there's a lot of different ways that people can help. And coming, well, I do want to say this, is that, it's not for everybody coming, I'm sure. But as we were talking about, there's different ways of coming. So people can come and stay at a camp. But, especially if people are vetted or somebody who's been working in the struggle for a while. But also people can come and, and there are other places to stay, where people can stay.
Yeah.
Here or
some groups have been getting creative too. Like there's a big group from Colorado, and they've been doing Airbnbs, and they're like, there'll be 20 of them.
Right.
And they're kind of coming and going over a course of a month, but renting the same house and all splitting the cost on that. And then it's the ones that it's not so cut out, you're not cut out to be sleeping in a tent at night.
Right.
But we do have a lot, I know from my experience at Standing Rock, and we have a lot of experienced people who have been on fights such as these pipeline fights and resistance camps and such. I feel like if you're equipped, you have a tent, you have a means to get here, there's space for you to hunker down and be a part of this community that's being created here to stop this line.
And it's so inspiring. I want to say first, first I want to say the indigenous ways. So I want to talk about the Ganonyo, which actually we didn't put this down as something that we talked about.
Yeah.
I want to put ShyAnne on the spot because she's studying the Seneca language, and she did a Ganonyo for us today.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So do you want to talk a little about the Ganonyo?
Yeah. The Ganonyo is actually giving thanks to everything that the Creator have given to us, as well as, what we do is we start from ourselves. We give thanks to each other, and then we go from the ground up. So we start from Mother Earth herself. We go to the grasses, and then we go to the water, the medicines, the berries, the animals, the maple, to the thunders, the winds, to the stars, and right up to the sun, the moon, and then the Creator. That's
I'd been a part of that morning, that giving thanks, and with Lori and Nikki and Jake while they were here the last time. It was very powerful stuff, and I was so happy to see somebody praying bright and early. I was the only one up every morning, and it was kind of neat that was happening in camp, and I hadn't been really a part of any of it before, and it was neat to see. So,
well, and it makes me think too. This is it. Back to what I said about these. I don't even know if I just said it or if I just said it earlier in the day or earlier on the previous show or something. But that so many of these, I think when we're talking about the beloved community, it's not a unique idea. So this it's so special, and there's its own special way, but this idea of thankfulness, I know somebody who said, that thankfulness is the antidote. Like to whatever bothers us, thankfulness, or, it's the idea of count your blessings or something like that. And so many different ways of looking at it, but that thankfulness. So I know, I've been inspired, by the Indigenous ways and that prayerfulness and thankfulness that is so needed, when they say pray without ceasing, that is sort of what that is. So, we can do it ourselves all the time, or we can try to remember, or certainly, especially at the start of the day and at the end of the day. And I know for the Gnoño, that a lot of times it's at the start of the event, and then it has to also come at the end of the event. You can't just let it go hanging. It has to come in the whole thing. But it's such a and that is something sort of in between the two. So it's very practical, but it's also very spiritually oriented, because that's where the strength comes. I'm thinking about, Standing Rock, or thinking about the many people you're talking about who have put their lives on the line, who are just deeply, deeply committed to the struggle. It's a spirit. It has to be. If the spirit isn't engaged, if the love isn't engaged, it won't happen. It happens because of loving, each other, loving the creation, defending the sacred, that idea of the sacred.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And I've learned, Standing Rock is really what introduced me to the Indigenous cultures and the praying. That's what Standing Rock was for me. I went to the sacred fire every morning. We did the march down to the river with the elder ladies, following them to the river and praying at the river. Like I did that every morning I was there. And that was the most powerful experience I've ever had in my entire life up to this point. Until this camp, I've been a part of some pretty intricate cultural practices and ceremonies here now since being here. And there's days where it hits you deep, you feel it. And the Indigenous have had such connection with the earth, like no settlers have ever had, that's for sure. But we're all tribal people at some point in time. We have just lost our ways. We're not in touch. We've lost our cultures, and the Indigenous have had such a struggle to keep theirs alive, but they're alive. Their cultures are here still, and it's very neat to see the youth even coming about. It's like all the atrocities. Yeah, all the atrocities that ever happened here with the Indigenous. It's amazing to see how their resilience and their connection with the earth is really bright and beautiful. And I'm honored to be here, and I'm honored to be a part of all of this, because it is a fight that the Indigenous are leading, right? And I'm so glad to stand behind them as well, in solidarity.
I want to say just the same. Is so much of being honored, being grateful, being here. And being inspired, and and one of the things, I did miss Standing Rock. I never got out to Standing Rock, and I always felt like, why did I not find a way somehow, supported it, yes, publicized it, yes, worked in, and there are people who, won't be able to come to Minnesota. They can help in other ways, but there is something special about coming and really getting more involved, so it just depends on what is your life and your current experience. So there are people who've been to Standing Rock who would love to be here now, couldn't come yet. Maybe they'll later, And I also think of so many little inspiring things that we, I know that Laura was telling that yesterday, Joe was telling that there were 4 eagles that he saw. Yeah. This morning when I went down to the lake for that giving of thankfulness, and I saw 3 birds. And she asked me later on when we were talking, she said, "Did you see an eagle? Any eagles?" And I said, "I don't know, but I know I saw, these 3 birds from afar." So, or just the beauty and the way it touches you, to try and get the inspiration from the beauty of the earth.
I'm just going to interrupt you real quick. My
Sure.
lamp is actually dying, so it's going to go dark for a minute. But you can keep talking.
Okay, well, we'll keep talking. So, to get more on now, one of the things that we were talking about too is sort of, you said you came to this really through Standing Rock, right?
Well, yeah. So Tanya Leduc, who I've been following since Standing Rock, she's been here fighting at the Public Utility Commission meetings and everything leading up to this approval of the pipeline. And I've been following her and a couple of others from Standing Rock.
Right.
And so we've had rallies and marches in downtown Duluth over the past 4 or 5 years. We marched right down Superior Street over to the deck during the Public Utility Commission meeting there, and Tanya led that march. And I live here. This is my community, and now more than ever, I'm really in this community more than I've ever been. I've always kind of been just a number in the crowd during these larger events. We had multiple events on Lake Superior, and some rallies. We had a Water is Life big concert at the Bayfront Festival in Duluth that Winona Leduc and Honor the Earth put on. And I've been present at all of these meetings for the Public Utilities Commissions, and I've been present at all these rallies and doing as much as I could do. But now that it's here, so Tanya is really what drew me to this camp, and Winona, for that matter. So I'm here for those two more than anything, other than that Mississippi River.
Right.
I grew up on the Mississippi River down by the cities, and I've been living in the Northland since 2006. So I've been living up north for 15 years now, almost half my life. And the North is where my heart's at, where my home is. And so that's kind of how I kind of got into the fold with Tanya. I've been following her for years. Standing Rock is really what sparked that. 4 years ago.
She is such an amazing woman, and we did have her on the show. I keep telling, we got 2,300 views on the show that she was on.
Sure.
She has been fasting. This is 32 days now that she's fasting.
Yeah.
So she wasn't able to come on today, and I'm not at all surprised. I'm not.
She had a busy last few days too. It probably took a lot out of her.
No, and I'm sorry in a way, really, for even asking her. I just knew we were having this radio show, and I was hoping that she might be able to join us. But I'm just as glad that she didn't, because I don't want to, ask too much or strain, because it is a strain. Talk about, first of all, 32 days of fasting is just.
Yeah. She's a warrior. She's truly a warrior, and she's a part of that Ojibwe Warrior Society, and I can just keep hearing the voice saying, "Where's your permit, boys? You don't have no permit from the Ojibwe Warrior Society. I didn't sign nothing." So she's fierce warrior, and she's kind of portrays that persona, I think, quite a bit here around camp, and she gives off a really good energy.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I think I saw her on one of these meetings that one of the videos that Winona put together, that where you see her walking, you see her in a big meeting, and whatever kind of BS was being told by the Enbridge people or something, which you also hear some bits of that, how ridiculous when they talk about responsibility and everything, and they're not taking responsibility.
No.
But anyway, when she says, you have just declared war on the Anishinaabe people.
Anishinaabe, yeah.
Anishinaabe. Is that her who did that?
Yeah.
I thought, what?
Yeah. Yeah, she's fierce. And
Right.
that's it. Yeah. She's a part of that Ojibwe Warrior Society. So
Yeah, and it's just so needed because we are running out of time. I want to say back to, thinking about different, because I do think about so many different ways. I think of Dr. King saying, there is such a thing as too late.
there is.
We are very late. We are very late. And I know that this pipeline, for people who think, well, I don't have time right now or something like that, we're talking about 40% of the world's fresh water supply. We're talking about 65 different crossings. Some, I can't remember, was it, something like a dozen that require this very, involved going under the.
Oh yeah, there's 23 of those horizontal drilling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people, and I know some of you might have watched this or heard us talking about it in another venue, but if you want to talk about this wigwam and what happened with all of that.
Sure. So that was early December. I want to say like the 4th or 5th.
Mhm.
Tanya and Winona had built this wigwam prior to any surveying done by Enbridge. No trees had been clear cut. The wigwam was present in there prior to their survey flags even coming through. And then one day, Tanya and Winona went down there to pray at the river in their wigwam, and the logging trucks were just coming down that embankment, which you've seen today. You notice how the trees were cleared to that fence.
Right.
Well, that fence wasn't there, but Dawn Goodwin, she's also the one running, one of the ladies up north that are doing on the White Earth, the Protect the Wild Rice camp. Dawn Goodwin, she sat down with her staff in front of that big claw machine, like
Really?
that big claw machine. She sat right in front of it, and that machine stopped. And Winona and Tanya were inside the wigwam, and during this altercation, the cops were putting the no trespassing signs up around them. There was no signs, no trespassing signs. There was nothing, and the cops actually put the posts in the ground and put the signs up during this whole altercation with Don and Winona and Tanya, and the cops then showed up and said that they were being required to leave. Winona refused to leave the wigwam, and they actually cited her for trespassing in her own wigwam with no signs present prior to her even walking out there, let alone it's on public land and on state public land. And she was just exercising, her treaty rights and her religious freedom. And it's just absurd. The amount of force and resistance we're seeing with our local law enforcement. I mean, Enbridge is paying our local law enforcement to protect the pipeline.
This is back to, I find so many similarities in different things, and I think about, so many of our wars have been about the military defending the corporate interests.
Sure. Yeah.
So it is an age-old tradition of the military and violence, state-sponsored violence, being used to defend the interests of the wealthy that are not the public interests, not the government's interest that is of the people, by the people, and for the people, but for the corporations, for and by the corporations, and for the just here to collect.
Yeah.
And this is what these people are doing. And actually, now I was talking with Joe about this, and he was talking about different laws. So there are laws on the books that support them in their cash grab, and they're trying to do this. So there were also laws that supported Hitler. Everything was legal according to them. So the laws, when they support something that is against the natural law, because law is really meant to approximate justice, to make that justice should be served. And there are also laws that are being transgressed by this, and some of them are the treaties, some of them are just the natural law of the interests of the earth and the planet, of the people and the creation. And some of it is actual law that is international law, like the UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, which
Sure.
prior, and this is where I shout out to Agnes Williams, who couldn't make it on the show today, but she has worked so hard on publicizing that prior free and informed consent is required. You cannot just go taking land, polluting the land, taking eminent domain. It's a travesty. There's nothing legal about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's so everything north of the easement there where you're seeing today, that's all state land. So they've extended the easement past where the power lines are already at. So they're using this power line corridor. And then what they're doing essentially in this section, at least, is that's all a land grab. They stole all of that land. That's public land, not just Indigenous and their rights to exercise their treaties on those lands, but
Right.
as well as citizens of Minnesota. Those are our public lands. They just took from us to
Right.
put this pipeline in this corridor. And just the amount of destruction just in the clear cutting to clear a path for this is just astronomical. And no regard for the trees. The trees themselves, everything is such an integral part of our ecology and our environment that it all matters, So it's just sad to see the destruction that's already happened, and they're about 50% complete at this moment, and they're only halfway there. So it's sad to see all the destruction already, let alone the other half that's yet to come, supposedly. But we're going to stop this pipeline, so hopefully we'll stop it and then have them take it all out,
Right.
because something needs to happen. As to the Wigwam too, the Army Corps of Engineers, after that incident there, the day Tanya or Winona was cited in it, the Army Corps of Engineers actually put a stay of construction on the Wigwam site, and with the stay of construction, it was an unanticipated discovery, is what Enbridge is calling it. And they keep trying to revert to their culture is alive. Their culture is living. They're practicing it every day. And like Enbridge had specifically stated, that it was just a stall tactic with the Wigwam. And she said, and like Winona had said, this isn't a stall tactic. Our culture is alive. We practice it every year. We rebuild wigwams every year. It's just a part of our culture. It's a living culture. We're not dead. This isn't an artifact, no, but it is a part of our culture, So, yeah. So supposedly there was a couple of cultural advisories to the Enbridge or whatever that's hired through Leech Lake and Fond du Lac, and they come and analyze any unanticipated discoveries. So as of right now, it's an active wigwam that they get an escort down to or allowed to go to if they let the cops know that they're going down there. So Winona and Tanya can still go to that wigwam and not be trespassing at this moment.
Right.
So it still stands. We'll see how long that stands. And that's what I think Tanya's kind of holding out for, that injunction. There's so many court cases going on right now. They're hitting them at every angle in the legal battle that we can. So there's a lot of big dates are coming up here with some of the court battles that we got going on. Some of them are just the state appellate courts, and then there's also a federal court case that's been filed by Red Lake, White Earth, Friends of the Headwaters, and our own Department of Commerce. The Minnesota Department of Commerce is also fighting against the PUC for the certification of need for this pipeline, because our Commerce Department said that we don't need this oil. The oil is not needed. It has no effect on our economy. It's not staying in Minnesota.
Right.
So that even our own Commerce Department said we don't need this pipeline.
Right.
So it's just like they're not even taking their advice from their own administration. So it's really sad.
Well, you just wonder where it's all follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money. If we think about where, are they? I wonder whether Enbridge might be donating money to some of the people who are decision makers, some of the state officials or something like that.
Sure. Governor Waltz, he's one sorry state of affairs. When Trump was in office, he was claiming if the federal government would act on climate change, Minnesota would. But here we are looking down the barrel of a tar sands pipeline who's equivalent to 50 coal-powered plants being built, and we're acting on climate change. You're allowing this to go through our state. He is such a sorry state of affairs, and he's a Democratic. We have the DFL here, the Democratic Farmer Laborers Union or Party is what our Democratic Party here is called, and it's just the good old boys, and they're all bought and paid for.
So Governor Tim Waltz, we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because you know what? In all of this, I've just sort of slipped my mind about him. Because one of the things that at a certain point we were being told, from afar, like, well, hey, one thing you can do is be calling Governor Waltz and tell him to call off his, I don't want to call people names, although it's very tempting.
Sure.
But whatever you want to call them off, up. And I won't call them dogs. That was not one of the words I was thinking of. we love our dogs. But anyway.
For a good month, I did every morning at 9 a.m. I'd call every morning for a good month straight. It might even have been longer. Yeah.
I was calling a lot too, and it sort of slipped my mind lately. So now that you reminded me so nicely, I want to remind the people who are listening now that you could easily call Governor Tim Waltz. That's WALZ, and his number is 651-201-3400. So that's 651-201-3400. And I'll say it one more time, 651-201-3400. Otherwise, just Google it. But anyway, just call me.
And it's what's really sad here is that we have Peggy Flanagan. She's the first, I don't know if it's the female lieutenant governor, but she's the first Indigenous lieutenant governor we have here in the state of Minnesota. And it's kind of sad to see. We kind of all thought we knew where Peggy stood on that. And I was a delegate in the 2018 convention and actually fought against Tim Waltz because he's also pro-mining as well, which we're also going to be fighting the copper nickel mine here in northern Minnesota here real quick. And there's a couple of proposals in a couple other places here too, but we're looking down the barrel of all of these ancient technologies. I mean, nothing's state of the art. They're saying this is all state of the art, pipeline going in with all these safety precautions. They're still using airplanes to monitor the pipeline route. They pay somebody in a Cessna, a single plane Cessna, to fly above the route and keep an eye on the pipeline corridor to see if you can see a leak. And that's
ridiculous. Because
that's a lot of.
It's only if the leak happens to go up.
Yeah.
If it's going sideways or down, then you can't.
And that's just like the Kalamazoo River, the Kalamazoo spill. This is the second largest inland oil spill. The largest inland oil spill actually happened right here in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and it was Line 3. In the United States history, we hold the largest inland oil spill, and then right there is Kalamazoo, and it took them 17 hours to shut it down because they had heard the alarm, but then they thought it was an anomaly or something, so they cranked the oil flow in the pipe and actually pumped faster spewed out faster, and it took them 17 hours before they shut it off. None of this, and that was supposed to be state of the art, and that was in late 2000, I don't know, 7, 8, I don't remember. I guess it's been a decade now, but it's just
crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not if pipelines leak; it's when they leak.
Right.
Yeah.
And we already know that, as we were just saying, that the one that's currently there, the Line 3 that is already in the ground, is leaking like mad.
Yeah.
I want to share this little poem that our producer Richard Wicca shared with me right before we started. He was telling me about this poem. Here, why don't you read it? Cheyenne will read it.
Says, keep the oil in the soil, keep the coal in the hole, keep the gas under the grass.
So there we go. And so the mining, I mean, we know that just the raping and plundering of the earth has been going on for a long time. And for a while, you know, you can get away with it, but soon the chickens come home to roost. The thing we're running, it's back to there is such a thing as too late, and we're running out of time. The dregs of the oil industry are those tar sands oil, and that they are incredibly filthy, and they're incredibly polluting, much worse than your average oil.
Yeah. It's such a low-grade oil. Oh, and not to mention what they're doing to the First Nations up in Alberta. I mean, they're poisoning the communities in which they're mining this stuff from. Right. And it you know, I like to say where they're mining the tar sands from, it looks like Mordor. You know, the Lord of the Rings, where it's that bubbling, gross oil, and like you're going under earth, and it literally looks like Mordor. It's just this destruction of the clear-cutted thousands and thousands of square acres of a boreal forest, which we need more of. You know, we need to be carbon neutral. We need to be building up our forests, not taking them down.
Right.
And yeah, it's just crazy. The tars, it's just such a low-grade oil that it's just being made for plastics. You know, and Winona over here has started a hemp and heritage farm, and you know what, hemp can make lots of polymers. We can making all of our petroleum plastics from hemp. We could be making, it's incredible the underutilizations of hemp, and it's because of the oil industry. And they've made this society in which we're addicted to oil. We need it to get around. We need it to have this cooler that I have in my, you know, it's just like everything is made from it, and they've done that on purpose. And, you know, we always get the people as like, well, quit driving your car, you know, take off your rubber boots, and that's not what it's about. We're here for the change. I understand that it starts with things small, where we spend our dollar in this capitalist country counts more than the vote you cast. You know, who you give your money to is ultimately your biggest resistance. Growing your own food is your biggest resistance. And when we're talking about oil, to get off of it, it's going to take a lot of work, and we are too late. We're already too late. And it's sad when the next 10 years, we really need to make some changes, or we're going to see really a lot of destruction. We're going to see climate refugees right here in the United States. You know,
we're already seeing it, right? We already know that. People already seeing it. The rapid fluctuations, the more storms, more severe storms, weather bombs, you know.
How dead the forest looks, you know, like the trees are breaking in half. You don't really see that. That's not supposed to happen. Trees are strong for years and years and years. So why are they all of a sudden just breaking, you know? You can tell in the environment that things are, you know, it's going downhill fast, and something needs to happen. You know?
But the one thing that I do think, though, is in the encouraging word, besides the defend the sacred, is the fact that we just saw with this COVID that rapid change is possible. We think it isn't, but it is. Here's Winona with the whole hemp, that hemp can replace all of the plastics. It could be used to make everything that we think we have to do with plastics. It could be made with the hemp. Mm-hmm. And we, you know, I think about years ago, I mean, 15 years ago or something, I remember being with a group that sponsored a showing of a movie called Why They Killed or How They Killed the Electric Car, something like that. Now, actually, I didn't even get to see the movie, but what I know is that, you know, money talks. And so people say, oh, no, because they're still cleaning up. They're already invested into a certain technology. They want it to keep going that way. But we can make those policy decisions. We can get our electeds. We have to, some people don't have the choice, or it's hard to say that people should make the choice to get things that are a lot more expensive, right? If they don't have the money, we were talking about this, people who work for Enbridge or something, do they want to work for Enbridge? Well, maybe, but maybe they just need to get some kind of job, and that's the one they got. So that's the one they went with. And, then they have that cognitive dissonance going on that says, this is the wrong thing. But if we get our government if we have the political will, and that means coming out, that means calling and not harassing, I don't want to say that, but just, let's just say insisting in every kind of way, in the street, in the communications, in the who you elect, in the, just thing after thing about the policy changes that we need to survive, because we have to have them. And we've seen that rapid change is possible. We shut it down on a dime. It was a matter of 2 weeks, a week, 2 weeks, that everything just went, no more, cannot do it. So when we see that, we see those big changes when they say it's impossible, it's not impossible. And some of those changes are helping us, right? So that people don't have to drive around so much, so that people can, have Zoom meetings. You don't have to go to work to be at work, to do the work, depending on the work. But we can make those changes happen. So I feel like that's been a big encouragement to me, to see those changes that we've gone through in the past year, as difficult as they've been.
Well, see, my life didn't change much because of the pandemic, so that just tells you I lived a very exciting life. I'm kidding. No, I live out in middle of nowhere, so my life didn't change much because of the pandemic. I mean, I work with one other guy, and we do construction, so it's just nothing really changed because of the pandemic for me personally. Other than I have to wear a mask when I go in the grocery store or or the gas station. But it's kind of a joke. Is like your life didn't change much because of the pandemic. It probably means it wasn't a very exciting life.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about exciting, but it does depend on your situation.
Sure,
by a lot. I mean, there's lots of people who, if they're grocery store workers, or if or doctors, or actually their lives did change in a very difficult way. But the point of the rapid changes, the point of the technology, the point of the political will. So there are so many things in this country that people say no can do, but what we really have to realize is those choices about where the resources get spent, how things are being done, who benefits, all of those things, how our economy works. Those are choices. So do we need to have predatory capitalism going on? No, we don't need to. We do, but does it have to be that way? The safety net, should it be better? Should it be worse? Well, those are all political choices that we can make, that we have the worst income and asset distribution in the developed world, right? And that has continued, and I'm talking since the 80s, I know that was a fact. And since all these years, it has gotten steadily worse, and I mean steadily. And the tax rate that used to be the billionaires, millionaires, there weren't as many billionaires. Those people had a tax rate of like 90%.
Yeah, let's talk about billions. Enbridge is currently $1.1 billion over their expected budget. I mean, I thought $1 million meant something at one point in time. We're talking, how do you it's unfathomable for me. The $1.1 billion they're currently over on their projected budget. And we're only halfway through it. So water protectors are claiming all of that $1.1 billion. That was us. we're holding up every regulatory process there was, and standing out, and and actually taking the actions we've been taking is really deterred. Every minute, every half hour, every minute's cost them $1,000. So every little bit we can disrupt them has been our mission from the get-go. Now that construction's actually begun, and I think we're taking credit for that 1.1 billion. Tanya jokes, it's all those extra porta potties I made them get. I guess we contacted something with OSHA, and they had 30 guys over here one day, and they have one porta potty. Right. So the next thing you know, we made a complaint, and all of a sudden there's 2 porta potties at our work site.
I saw that. I was going to ask him if I could go over and use it.
Yeah.
It really, we know those are choices by political will that can be changed. So, Biden can decide.
We need people to reach out to Biden too, because now with Deb Haaland, with the Secretary of Interior, holla to Deb. But I think we have a lot of hope with the Biden administration here in the near future. And the email that I sent them, I don't think their phone is on yet, but I've sent an email. And the one thing I like to point out is, now that we're a part of the Paris Accord agreement again, and you've already canceled one tar sands pipeline, right. What's any different than this one here? And all the others to come, we should be phasing out, not doubling down on, and not investing in more when we're in a climate crisis. We're already in it. We need to slow it dramatically, and investments in projects like this should not be happening. Should not be. Yeah, the extraction needs to end.
It needs to end. It absolutely needs to end. It can end when we have the political will, and so people can. So let's talk again a little bit, just sort of in summary. And we are coming around towards the end of the show now, which I know it's been a long and busy day for you.
Yeah. So, I'm excited to go to bed.
Yeah, I bet you are. And we're just coming around to the end of the show too. So, but I just want to remind people of the biggest things that we're asking people to do, because there are any number of things that people can do depending on, their, situation, interest, political will themselves, right? So what are the things that you're hoping people will do?
Well, I think there's still yet to we have enough awareness. Sure. And I know as people have trickled into camp and brought back the knowledge of what they experienced here and what's going on, and those webs have been set, and those droplets hitting the top of the water from where our water protectors here go home, and they're the ripples on the lake at wherever they're from. And that's the biggest thing right now is awareness, and bringing everybody in on that same thing, not just with our fight with Line 3 here, but there's, we got the Tiny House Warriors up in Canada, Trans Mountain, and we've got Line 5 over in Michigan, and we have someone here from Michigan right now. It's like there's all these fights going on everywhere, and we really need to stay focused on the end game and for the future, So I think the awareness would be the biggest thing. And if you're willing and able, we do want you here. It looks like we have a 2-month hiatus coming up from Enbridge. So this is what they're claiming. We don't know if it's a ploy, but they're saying that they're suspending all work for 2 months, starting the beginning of April to the beginning of June. Sometime late May and early June is when they'll start construction up again. And they're claiming it as a seasonal restrictions. And I'm assuming it's due to our road constrictions here in Minnesota. The ground's frozen solid right now. So in these next few months, the ground releases that frost and the ground becomes unstable. So I don't know if there's truth behind this hiatus. So it looks like, we'll be swimming in the Mississippi and having a water brigade, on the river right there where the pipeline crosses. So there's a lot of beautiful things yet to come. And I think we're going to have a pretty big convergence here at this specific camp. when it's time to protect the Mississippi River.
I'll come
So-
when it's time to go swimming.
Right? Yeah. Just be forewarned, there's lots of mosquitoes.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Lots of bugs. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, we could, the awareness being here, just seeing it for yourself, even if it's for a few days. We're trying to welcome as many people as possible. If you know of anybody, hopefully they reach out to you and make that connection with you, and then you can make that connection back here at camp, and we can
Right.
kind of make that network that we need. So we're making sure camp is staying safe as well.
Right.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, I guess we want people to get arrested. We want to stand the line and really slow Enbridge down. That's what my hope is, at least.
Right. Right. So what about you, Shy? What would you say when you think of what people can do?
Bringing awareness. I like that. Bringing a lot of awareness, because honestly, I'm just now hearing about this, and it's been going on for a couple of years, and I didn't know that at all.
Right.
So, I mean, that's what I plan on doing, is going back. When I go back home, I'm planning on telling a lot of people, seeing who's interested, and we can come back out and stuff
Right.
like that. Yeah, figure something out. And,
Mm.
just a matter of teaching the youth, educating them on everything that's going on right now, with treaty rights, just understanding, the rights as being Aboriginal people.
Right. That's another huge thing. So, I mean, I know I'm grateful to be part of it. I can tell that people are welcomed, people are appreciated, and I can tell that that increasing awareness is something that you can do in your daily life. You can do it standing in this line at the grocery store. You can do it talking to your family, to your neighbors, to your friends. Hey, did you know? You can do it sharing things on social media, including this, in different ways, or you can do it telling the story. I want to draw attention especially to a couple of websites, being Winona's Honor the Earth, or Honor Earth. So many interesting things about the hemp, and about all kinds of wonderful sustainable initiatives and things that can be done and learned. And of course, Welcome Water Protectors, or Welcome. Protectors.
WelcomeWaterProtectors.com. Yeah.
Oh,
and then,
yes.
Yeah. And then we also have StopLine3.org.
Right, that's right. That's what I wanted to say. Yes.
Yeah.
StopLine3.org. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Welcome Water Protectors, WelcomeWaterProtectors.com has an interactive map, and you can actually look at the entire route across the state. You can see where a pump station's at. You can see where the river crossings are at. And people have been scouting. We scout the line.
Right.
And then we upload stuff to that map. So it's all interactive. It's kind of neat.
It's a very cool map. So I want to really encourage people to do that. And meanwhile, I want to let you get to bed, because I know it's going to be another bright day of spending the sacred tomorrow. I'm so grateful to you. So grateful to you, Mark John.
We're so grateful you all showed up.
Oh, and we're all, so together we've been talking peace, and together we are talking peace in truth and love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll see you all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Yeah.
Bye for now. Thanks a jillion.
All right. I'm out.
Great job. Thank you. Here we go. Okay, so Richard, we're still here. We're still alive, just barely. Anyway, so I hope that was good. I know it was good. It was good from here. It was good from here to hear from both of you.
Mm-hmm.
And we really appreciate all the help. So been great. I should have clapped at the end. That I forgot to do that.
Okay, so you're off the air?
We're off the air. Yep, we've been. You can hear that. I didn't sing.